Hi, and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's Game of Thrones Season 7 predictions for Daenerys. This video is the first in a series of videos where I give my predictions on what's going to happen in Season 7 of Game of Thrones, focusing on a different character every week. This video is where I give my predictions for what I think is going to happen with Daenerys Targaryen in Season 7. So I'm going to have to give a serious spoiler warning for this video, first of all, for Game of Thrones up to the end of Season 6, but also, more importantly, for all the barrage of spoilers that has been released for Season 7 of Game of Thrones. And there have been a significant amount of spoilers from a lot of on-set photos and inside info leaked on sites like Watchers on the Wall, to the detailed plot leaks, which I didn't believe at first, but have time and time again been confirmed by the aforementioned on-set photos. So to be honest with you, I already know far more about Season 7 than I'd care to. So much so that I think I may in fact actively avoid spoilers for Season 8, as I already feel as if Season 7 has kind of been ruined for me. So I wouldn't blame anyone who may not be aware of all these spoilers for skipping this video, as they will contain a lot of confirmed and possibly likely spoilers for Season 7. And it's been a tradition on my channel to do Game of Thrones prediction videos before a new season starts. In fact, this was really what made my channel as popular as it is. This originally started after Season 4 because there was a series of videos that came out predicting what would happen in Season 4 from a channel that will go unnamed. Let's just say that this channel would be awesome in the event of an emergency. Anyway, this unnamed channel did these Season 4 prediction videos that were way off base, as Season 4 was going to cover what was in Book 3 mostly and delved slightly into Book 4 and 5 material. But these videos were predicting things to happen in Season 4 that were at the end of Book 4 and 5, and indeed many of these predictions didn't come to pass until Season 5, and some of them not even until Season 6. So I decided to try to make some more realistic predictions for Season 5, and although I did get a lot wrong, I got about 50% of my predictions correct, so I think it's fair to say I did way better than that other channel. So after Season 5 aired, I decided to keep this tradition up, as many of my viewers requested it, by making some Season 6 predictions, even though Season 6 was far for the most part moving beyond the books, and so I was mostly operating in the dark, whereas in Season 5 I had the novels to go off of. So I lowered my success rate to a goal of 20%, but in the end I found that it was that goal was too easy to get, and I ended up getting around like 35%. So I did get some things right, even if I didn't do as good. This year I decided to keep this tradition going with Season 7, but it's different because there's been a ridiculous amount of spoilers released, far more so than I would have cared for. So I do feel I will mostly be filling in the gaps of these spoilers, much like I was filling in the gaps of the book knowledge that I did for Season 5. Therefore, I will set my success rate at 40%, but only counting my original predictions rather than spoilers I heard. But bear in mind, not all of these spoilers will turn out to be correct. As we saw last year with Season 6, a lot of these key spoilers a lot of people were basing their predictions off of turn out to be false, and thus misleading. So there may be some cases here with Season 7. In fact, there are a few times I will go against these spoilers and make bold predictions that they are wrong, which, as we saw in Season 6, is possible. So I will often make reference to these plot leaks, which have so far been completely correct, but bear in mind I haven't read all of them, as apparently there are like extended versions scattered all over the internet, but it's hard to find, so I may make theories that I'm not even aware of contradict some things in these plot leaks. And sometimes I will purposely make some predictions that contradict these plot leaks because sometimes I just disagree with it and think they could be wrong. And for that matter, I might have missed some news from Watchers on the Wall or other production leak sources and make predictions that or already been contradicted by some evidence. I'm sorry, but there's just way too much. There's only so much research that I can do, so I'll try my best. So enough of the preamble, let me finally get into my predictions for Daenerys Targaryen. Now, Daenerys will likely be the most important character in Season 7, as we were waiting 6 long years for her to finally get to Westeros, and it's finally happening. In Season 7, from everything we're hearing, she's going to really shake things up in Westeros. In fact, I feel, maybe I should have ended with her video rather than started with it, because she will have her fingers and a lot of other storylines. Therefore, this video is going to touch on a lot of different other things. But I thought, oh, what the hell? Why not just get this out of the way first? So last we saw Daenerys, she was on her way to Westeros with a large fleet of Dothraki, Unsullied, Ironborn, Dornish, and Tyrell ships. I believe the first we will see of her in Season 7 will be her arriving at Dragonstone with her Unsullied and Dothraki. I believe the Dornish, Tyrell, and Ironborn forces will be sent elsewhere, but the rest of them will arrive in Dragonstone. Now, it has been confirmed by multiple sources that Daenerys will make Dragonstone her base in Season 7, and that she will arrive there in Episode 1. I do believe for the first 2 episodes, what we're mostly going to get from her in these 2 episodes are plotting scenes where she's discussing with her advisors how best to proceed. One of the main topics will be her making alliances in Westeros. They already have alliances with Dorne, the Reach, and the Iron Islands, so that only leaves the Stormlands, the Riverlands, the Vale, the North, and the Westerlands. And the Westerlands, of course, are ruled by the Lannisters, so that's out of the question, as they are basically the main enemies. And I feel the Stormlands is mostly irrelevant now with the death of the Baratheons, and the show kind of ignores it, so that leaves the North, the Vale, and the Riverlands. The Riverlands are kind of in chaos at the moment, so I believe the focus will be on the North and the Vale. So first, after learning the Vale is under Littlefinger's grasp, Varys will suggest under no circumstance that she deal with Littlefinger, and will suggest she avoid dealing with him directly at all cost. However, currently the North and the Vale are allied, and historically the North has always had strong ties to the Riverlands, so I believe Varys will suggest she attempt to make an alliance with the North, and if she did so, then the other 2 kingdoms may follow, thus she would get a 3-for-1 deal. And so Varys will know that Jon Snow is the current king of the North, and Tyrion, having met him before and had a good impression of him, will advise Daenerys to meet with him, citing him to be a reasonable man to deal with and an honorable man. So ravens will be sent to King Jon, who will arrive in Dragonstone with Davos in Episode 3. There they will have somewhat productive meetings where Jon will meet Daenerys' dragons, and they will mostly get along. Jon, however, will bring up the White Walker threat, and will seem more concerned with that than any battles over the Iron Throne. Tyrion in the first season was very skeptical at the existence of the White Walkers. However, in Season 2, Jorah Mormont was warning the Crown about them. Tyrion started to have doubts as he trusted Lord Commander Mormont, but Cersei, of course, ignored him. So given that and his trust for Jon Snow, I believe he will advise Daenerys to listen to his warnings, and that Jon wouldn't make something like this up. And eventually Jon will pledge to give up being king of the North, and pledge the North to Daenerys as the ruler of Westeros if she promises to use her forces, and more importantly, the dragons, to fight the real threat of the White Walkers. At first she'll be hesitant, but with the advice of Tyrion and Varys, and having a good impression of Jon, she will agree to this. By this time, Jorah Mormont would have returned to Dragonstone with his grayscale cured, and again I'll cover this more in another video, and he will devote himself again to Daenerys. So by this time, Jon will want to go on a mission to retrieve evidence of the White Walker threat, so she will send Jorah as her emissary with him, and a few others will go north to retrieve this evidence. Meanwhile, she would have sent the Dornish, Ironborn, and Reach forces on various missions, all of which would turn out very badly, and the Lannister forces appear to be winning the war, but I'll cover this this more in other videos. But most importantly, she will learn one of the Tyrell Bannermen had betrayed them to the Lannisters, allowing them to sack Highgarden, in which Lady Olenna lost her life. But thanks to some intelligence from Varys, she will know that one of the main purposes in sacking Highgarden was to retrieve their riches in the form of gold and food and return them to King's Landing. So Daenerys, no longer content to just sit on the sidelines, will decide to show her full force, but by setting an ambush for the caravans attempting to return with the stolen goods, and she will show up along with the Dothraki and Grey Worm leading the Unsullied, and will ambush the Lannister forces led by Jaime Lannister and his trusty sidekick Bronn. With them also will be the treacherous Tyrell Bannermen, who will in fact be Randyll Tarly. So many of these beats have been confirmed not only by plot leaks but also by production leaks and photos. The battle, which is happening in episode 4, is said to be a massive battle sequence that featured as many extras as were used in the Battle of the Bastards, and for a filming period that was about just as long. So I believe this will in fact be the main battle sequence of the season, and more than that, this will be the turning point of the war, as up to this point Cersei would have been winning this war, which I will cover more in other videos, but this will be the point in which Daenerys starts to turn things around. So first, the Dothraki will come and ambush them, and when the Lannister and Tully forces form ranks of archers to fire upon them, Daenerys will swoop in with her dragons and light them all on fire, and then the Unsullied will come in to clean things up and secure the goods. So this battle is going to be pretty one-sided, with Daenerys totally kicking ass and the Lannister and Tully troops getting fairly well wiped out. In fact, Jaime will narrowly escape the battle with his life after he is saved by Bronn, and the two of them will retreat to Castle Rock. Meanwhile, Daenerys will round up all of the leaders of the caravans, including Randyll Tarly, and will demand that they bend the knee to her, in which Randyll will refuse, so she will roast him alive with her dragons. This will in fact be done against Tyrion's warnings, and he's not going to be happy about this, and this will be where Daenerys is turning a bit dark. Daenerys will then send Grey Worm and the Unsullied after Jaime to go to Castle Rock and place it under siege, while Daenerys herself will continue to Highgarden and will make quick work of freeing the castle of the Lannister forces, as she will completely surround them with her massive amount of forces and announce that they had made quick work of their leaders and their caravan. In fact, she might make one of her epic speeches and fly her dragons overhead, and the Lannister forces will quickly surrender. Daenerys will then gain the alliances from the Stormlands and the Riverlands, and will appoint new Warden of the Reach, which I'll cover more of all of this in other videos. And all of those allies, as well as Dorne, will make quick work of the Lannister forces and will pretty much defeat them across all of Westeros. And the Lannisters will be held up in just a few strongholds, while Daenerys takes her dragons and Dothraki to King's Landing and secure the city, while Cersei and her Lannister forces are held up in the Red Keep. So let me address the dragon in the room. One of the most well-known parts of the plot leaks is that Jon and a few others will go up to the wall to retrieve a white to prove the White Walkers are a threat, and a lot of this has been confirmed by on-set photos and reliable production leaks. Much to my chagrin, as this sounded pretty awful to me. However, another part of the plot leaks that has yet to be confirmed, but does go along with things that have been confirmed, states that while up there on the mission to retrieve a white, Daenerys will show up with her dragons as they are engaging the White Walkers, in which one of her dragons will be killed, and the Night King will rise that dragon from the dead as a white and ride it as his new mount and use it to bring down the wall. Now, since everything in these plot leaks has so far turned out to be true, and this one aspect is a pretty major part of that leak, many, even those who like myself think this sounds fucking horrible, and are reluctantly accepting this is probably going to happen. But I'm going to be bold here, and this may end up backfiring me in the worst way, but I don't give a rat's ass because this sounds fucking ridiculous. I just cannot bring myself to predict that this will happen. So instead, I'm going to be optimistic and predict that what I want to happen rather than what is likely to happen. So plot leaks be damned. I'm saying that none of this bullshit will happen, and in fact, Daenerys will not go up north at all. As foolish as these predictions may be, I'm sure someone in the comment section might tell me that Watchers on the Wall has already proved some of this correct already, but I don't care. As far as my predictions are concerned, the scenes with the White Walkers will not involve Daenerys, and therefore I won't cover them in this video, and will cover them in another video. So instead of going north, I believe Daenerys will take her forces to King's Landing and seize the city. As I said, she will make the Dragon Pits her main base while Cersei's held up in the Red Keep. Daenerys will make a few attempts to take the Red Keep, in which Cersei's forces, possibly using some dirty tricks, will manage to take out one of her dragons. And Cersei will use more wildfire to raise mayhem around the city. So Daenerys will mostly be dealing with this and trying to win over the common people. Eventually, Jon will return with Jorah and some of the others with the evidence of the White as predicted, and Daenerys will have a lot of one-on-one meetings with Jon in which they will bond, and Daenerys will warm to Jon a lot, and Jon will tell her what he learned from Bran while he was back north, that he believes that he is the son of Rhaegar Targaryen. Jon at this stage will have gained her trust, so she will believe him and then propose a marriage alliance. This will mostly be a political marriage, not one out of love, but it will be a way for Jon to remain a king and to solidify their alliance with the North, and so Jon will accept. He will then convince her to offer Cersei a truce to ally with Cersei and let Cersei and Jaime live in Castle Rock with an open relationship, and then we'll judge them if she recognizes Daenerys as the rightful queen and pledge to help fight against the White Walkers. Tyrion will actually flip from the more tempered response and advise against this, as he will insist Cersei cannot be trusted under any circumstances, but Daenerys will trust in Jon Snow and call for a great parley. Now, a scene has pretty much been confirmed from multiple sources where there is a parley at the Dragon Pits with a crap ton of main characters, including Cersei, Qyburn, the Mountain, Daenerys, Varys of Missandei, Tyrion, Davos, Brienne, Jon Snow, Jorah, and the Hound. And also Bronn and Jaime. So I believe that Daenerys will allow Jaime and Bronn to travel from the under siege Castle Rock to be at the parley. There, Jon will present his evidence of the White, and Cersei will agree to this truce and relinquish control of the Red Keep and leave with Jaime and her advisors to Castle Rock. However, when Daenerys goes to claim the Red Keep and the Iron Throne, she will find Cersei has booby-trapped the whole thing to blow, and thus we'll get a scene similar to her House of the Undying vision scene in Season 2, where the Red Keep is in ruins, thus making her victory bittersweet. By this stage, Jon and many of her allies would have traveled back up north, and they'll meet with some of their own problems, which I will cover in another video. So that's all I have for my Daenerys predictions. If I sound a bit vague in a few places, that's because I'm going to cover a lot of this in other videos. I have 9 more to go in this series. A lot of the predictions here came from the production leaks or the plot leaks, even if I didn't always mention when they did, and a lot of it were my own, probably the parts that sounded more likely to be wrong. So I do expect to get a lot of this wrong, but I gave it my best shot because, hey, it's just fun to guess. So that's it for my Game of Thrones Season 7 predictions for Daenerys. Be sure to check back here every week as I continue to make more prediction videos for Season 7. Also be sure to check out my channel for many more Game of Thrones videos, as well as many more videos on shows like Star Trek, Humans, Vikings, and more. So be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. And thanks a lot for watching.